Welcome everyone to my first update of 2021, and indeed my first update for several months. Very good reason for that. I haven't been painting anything. I did lose a bit of interest in painting for probably 3 to 4 months, and fortunately that seemed to coincide with the I Am a Wargamer thing that was going on YouTube a few months ago. And I apologise to VK von Ketteringham for not doing anything. He did call me out, and I didn't do anything. Unfortunately, like I said, I wasn't much interested in doing anything wargame related at that stage. Fortunately, a couple of weeks ago we had a first game of the year, and I ran at a friend's place, and what got me back motivated was what he'd been doing with his Citadel Contrast paints. Now, I had bought a couple of them, but I hadn't seriously considered them as an option. However, the very next day I went out and I bought a whole heap of them, as you can see. And I also bought a nice little paint rack this is bought locally here in New Zealand from a firm called Battle Kiwi. I thoroughly recommend them if you're in New Zealand wanting to buy stuff in terms of paint organisers and stuff like that. I think he had it to my place within about 3 days, which is really impressive. That goes with... So I just took the opportunity with all this just to get myself organised as well. I already had these Vallejo dropper bottle organisers, but they had been sitting around at the back of a shelf somewhere. And I've also managed to get a new desk here, which we go too far, we get too carried away. Yeah, so as you can see, this desk goes from right the way there, with a nice little return here. So I've got my computer out of the way with the screens there. Nice big paint area. See, previously I had been really struggling for working room to do my painting. However, I've been fortunate enough to get swap the desk I had in here with this was in my my son's room. So he didn't want it was taking up too much space in his room, so yeah, it all worked out very well. So the upshot of that is I've been painting like a madman for the last 2 weeks, and what you see here is the result of that painting. So look, this is just over a week and a half. So what I'll tell you the process of what happened. The first one was I did pick up one of these guys. Now this is a Perry's 1812 to 1815 French line infantryman, painted as a Westphalian voltigeur. I started using the Citadel Contrast paints. Oops. As you can see, they're pretty bright, but I just wanted to see how quick I could do them. So I did this one to start with, and I said, oh yeah, that's a good start. So then I went on to these guys. These are Calpe French line infantry, and as you can see, because they're very well sculpted. There's a lot of depth in the sculpts. The contrast paints work very well. It would normally take me to do 6 figures, well over 6 hours, about 6 to 7 hours to do this number of figures. These ones took me 3.5 hours with the contrast paints, and whilst the painting is okay, it's all in the right place, and from 3 foot away they look pretty good. So I've got this and another stand done. I do my French line infantry 36 figure units, so that's an ongoing project. So then I thought I'd try out and see what happens with just using contrast paints on a more basic, shall we say, well, this is a Dark Age unit. These are Saracen / Moorish blackguard. They came unpainted, and so I think I did this. So there's 13 figures there, and I think that took me about 4.5 hours. So I fairly raced through those. So as you can see, this is a leader. Again, is the process for doing these things with the contrast paints is to black undercoat them firstly, and then put over the undercoat which the spray on undercoat which they say you should use either grey cere or wraithbone, depending on what you're looking for. I think I used, in this case, I used both. So I went about 45 degrees with the wraithbone, and just as a final thing, was just a wee on the from right at the top. I think they call it zenithing or something like that. Just a bit of the white as well, and then I just used, for the most part, the contrast paints out of the bottle. I haven't been too worried about detail. The only thing I did was added a bit of Vallejo vermilion to the red, and that came up alright. There's a nice little stand and bear, very simple uniform. I just got the flag off, found it on the internet somewhere. I mean, it's good enough. Consider I'm not sure I'll ever use these for a game. I probably will, but for Lion Rampant. But I was very pleased with the way they came up, given the time that I spent on them. Now, moving further on, these are some Crusader Dark Age Irish infantry. Again, I just use the same method of black undercoat with I think I went for the grey cere, just as an undercoat. I didn't use the wraithbone, so I just wanted to slightly mute the colours down. As it was, they're still reasonably bright, but as you can see, these have come up okay. The flag is from Little Big Man Studios. The only thing I did differently with these guys is, because there's so much skin on the models, there's to use the Gilliman flesh that comes with the contrast paints, just looked very blotchy. So I just went over the skin areas just with Vallejo flat flesh, and I said I'm quite pleased with the way they came up. Again, 16 figures, and I think they took me 5 hours to paint. As you can see, there's not very much in the way of colours. And what I've ordered some shield transfers, so some of these at a later stage might just get changed. Not all of them, because I don't think the Irish would have had a whole heap of shields with shield designs on them, but they came up quite nicely. And let's see, and that's the way as you can see, that's the way I base up my units for my Dark Age collection. Not one straight line or two ranks. They're a bit of a mixture, because these. I'm not sure there was as much discipline as you'd have had with maybe earlier with the Roman army, or later on with the horse and musket rules, a period that I game in as well. Now we're moving further on. Go to my weekend results. So on Saturday I did these guys. These are some Prussian cuirassiers by front rank. Now these are part of a unit of 20. I think I started the first one about 5 years ago, and that's where they stayed until about the beginning of last year, when I did another 8, I think about halfway through the year. But I had always some more cuirassiers, so I did from front rank, and again I had undercoated these. These sat on my desk for all that time that I hadn't done any painting, and finally did them at the weekend. Now these, I haven't used the contrast paints. I've gone for my more traditional method. I'm just using a bit of layering, and it's a different technique. Certainly the flesh colours have the full the Vallejo Panzer colours triad of the shadows, flesh, and then the flesh tone, and the highlights, and then with an ink wash over the top of it. I've also done the eyes as well. Very easy to do eyes on front rank, by the way. Don't be scared by it whatsoever. But this now forms part of a very impressive unit of 20 Prussian cuirassiers. I've got, this will be my 3rd unit of Prussian cuirassiers, so I've got 60 cuirassiers at the moment, and I'll probably add to that at some stage. And last but by no means least, this is the start of a new unit for my French Napoleonics. These are the Vistula Legion Lancers from the French army. They became there was 2 regiments in the Vistula Legion Lancers, the 1st and the 2nd obviously. They became the 7th and the 8th French Line Lancers, but they still retained their rather dashing uniform of dark blue with yellow facings. So yeah, so these have used, I've used a Citadel Contrast. I think this is the Ultramarines blue, which is actually very nice for this. There wasn't any time saving by using this paint, because as you can see, as with usually with Napoleonics, there's a lot of these thin white lines and detailing that you probably wouldn't have done on the, say, the Irish or the Black Guard. But yeah, they've come up rather nice. So I've only another 12 of those to go to complete the unit. But no, so I've really got the bug back, which is really good. I've be doing some more of these, and just a couple as a bit of an aside, these are the figures as undercoat, using the undercoat with a good covering of black, and then in this case I've used the wraith bone from just to 45 degrees from about 3 different angles, just to make sure it gives a good coverage. But it's still dark in the recesses. So when you apply the contrast paint, there's already got a bit of shading going on, in addition to the highlights that the paint naturally gives you anyway. And what I've also found, which is quite cool, is if I'm doing white coated infantry, I'm going to use just this as my white for the uniforms, and I've already done this on this fine fellow here. This what I did, this is with the wraith bone, and just a touch on the top of a white. I use a Vallejo white as well, because I didn't have the Citadel white, and to be honest, I saved about $13 on the can to buy it. But as you can see, as far as a white uniform is concerned, I haven't touched that from when I did the undercoat, and I think that looks pretty good. You know, all the straps have been done in Vallejo white, and so that gives its own contrast against the white of the uniform. But yeah, left no doubt that in it is a white uniform. So, given the fact I want to do 2 battalions of Würzburgers, which are a white uniform with the red facings, and 4 units of Berg light infantry, line infantry, so to say, with white and with light blue facings. Yeah, it's going to be quite a time saver, I think. Again, you can see at the front on these ones here, I didn't touch those, and I think they look pretty good. Again, just trying to get these done, looking tight enough for the table. But you know, individually they could be better. But yeah, for 3 foot away, I'm quite happy. I'll leave you with a little top tip. You know, you see, I've done these guys. I do a lot of this. I'm going to do some more line rampant figures. I've got a Teutonic army which I'm using Fireforge game figures, and I base everything on just these. These are 25mm MDF bases. Now these are metal figures, so but the Fireforge games are on the plastic. So what I do is I base when I'm basing them up, I put there with a little magnetic thing on there, and to paint them, what I've done is just super glued a metal washer to the top of a painting stick, and look at that, easy. So if you want an idea to paint when you paint your stuff and you're using magnetic bases, I suggest you use that. I see a lot of people on YouTube who are trying to paint figures and they're holding them like this or holding them like that, and I just don't know how you do it. Oh, sorry, holding like this, and I just don't know how you paint them like that. But you know, each to their own, I suppose. But anyway, that's my output for the last 2 months. Jesus, last 2 weeks of January 2021. Upwards of 40 figures, and yeah, I look forward to doing an update next few weeks when hopefully I'll have some more done in February. My games room here is I'm going to do a significant improve, including building myself a modular war games table. Be a pull-out one that can go to it's going to be in two parts, and I can make it'll be 3.6 meters by 1.8 meters wide, with storage underneath on coasters. So that'll be. I'm still working out the details of the design, but I'm pretty close to where I think I want it to be. So anyway, I won't bore you anymore. I've crapped on for about almost 19 minutes, so I'll say goodbye and look forward to seeing all your guys' videos. And I suppose I should get the begging bowl out and say, if you're not subscribed, please do so. Yeah, a little boy waits, as they say. But yeah, can you if you can just hit that, and maybe even the bell button. You never know what might surprise you in the next few days or few weeks. Okay, see you later. Bye.